Our minds can be our liberator and our oppressor. When I was a kid, I wore my hair in a little puffy afro. That was the style back then. I didn't care about how it looked sometimes, and Mom would say, comb your hair, comb your hair. And of course, I wasn't always combing my hair like I should be. So my auntie shaved it off. And I freaked out because I thought I looked like a monkey. I remember screaming, you made me look like a monkey, cry, 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 scream, scream, scream. I was really traumatized by this. Looking back many, many years later, I realized that was because I had been given the idea from the world around me that black people look like monkeys. And the afro I wore was to hide the fact that I thought I looked like a monkey. I'm telling you, this is what I thought. I thought I was hiding the shape of my head. And for many, 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 many decades, I did not like the shape of my head. And I regret this deeply because when I was dancing, my profile would have been much more powerful if I didn't have the bump of afro-ness on my head. I had internalized this self-loathing because I didn't want to look like an ape. Who knew that I was actually very attractive, and I just didn't know. Isn't that crazy? I did not know that my eyes, my forehead, my bone structure worked really well on stage. Past the first 10 rows on stage, it's your bone structure. You can put on makeup and have all kinds of things, but basically your genetics have a huge impact on how the audience sees you in the back of the house. If you've got big eyes and big lips and a nice broad face, people will see your expression. It's just how it works. And I had those things. I had a face that worked in the theater, and I was so busy hiding it because of my childhood internalized oppression that I did not take advantage of one of my gifts. And more importantly, I felt terrible about myself inside sometimes, many times, much of the time. I learned over years by being around beautiful, powerful, and exceptional black people, what we call black excellence. I realized I was one of them, and I was beautiful, and I was powerful, and I had boundless possibilities. That is real internalized oppression, and I know that stories like this live on in all of us. It breaks my heart that we are denied our beauty and our uniqueness and our gift, our divine gifts, because of what we think others are thinking and because of what we're told by the world. Being submerged in the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater environment and family really was life-changing for me and helped me love myself in ways that I might not have done so elsewhere. I'm actually a bit embarrassed to even say this story because of what craziness, but I'm being vulnerable because I know that others have had similar experiences, and I want you to know you're not alone, and that we share these very traumatizing experiences alone, and we don't have to be. So I hope these videos are helping you reflect and think and love yourself for all that you are, in your beauty and your ugliness, and your shame and your guilt and your brilliance and your power. All of it. We are all of those things and many, 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 many more. The better we are at accepting them, the better we are at loving them, the better we are at shamelessly sharing them, the better off our lives will be, and the better off the lives of others around us will also be. It's real. I guess it's better late than never. Makes me very sad sometimes thinking about that transition from that child into the insecure teenager into the person that I have become. But I got there. Eventually. I'm still managing some of that stuff, but I am through the crisis. It was hard to talk about this, but let's go. Welcome to Season 2 of Roar, where we walk with life challenges with reflection, optimism, authenticity, and resilience. We're talking about internalized oppression, and I've divided this episode into 3 parts so we can really get into what it is, how it shows up in our lives, and how to overcome it. You can watch these 3 videos out of order, but make sure you watch all 3 to get a full immersive experience about internalized oppression, because I'm telling you, it could really be running your life. This is part 1 of 3. What is internalized oppression? Have a look and see if this is you. You might have inherited or taken in all the hateful things you're hearing about yourself. Let's go. Our thinking is what drives our happiness, our joy, our pain, our misery. We create all of that. Now, when we experience sadness and grief because of the never-ending bombardment of information that we manage in our heads, these thoughts can lead to what we call internalized oppression. What happens inside of us can oppress us. And a lot of those thoughts are happening unconsciously. Most of what we believe and think are manifestations of our conditional thinking. What that means is we're not always the ones driving the car. Sometimes the mind, the unconscious thinking, those thoughts that cycle through our heads are actually on the steering wheel, and we're in the passenger seat being taken along for the ride. And that car might not be going where we want it to go. In fact, it can take us to some very, very dark places, oppressive places. We might not be aware of the harm we're causing ourselves and others as that car navigates the darkness of our lives. I call them lions. Life challenges, unchanging circumstances. It's more than a metaphor, it's a way of life. Internalized oppression is when individuals from marginalized groups adopt and reinforce the negative stereotypes and beliefs imposed on by the dominant society. I was told that black people look like monkeys, and I believed I looked like a monkey. And that belief followed me for much of my life, and I actually behaved in ways to counteract the belief I had about myself because of what the dominant culture taught me. And I'd be willing to bet that based on current events and our hatred and disgust of DEI, that you are sick of hearing about this kind of thing, as am I. But let me tell you something, I'm sick of living it. I'm sick of talking about it. I'm sick of hearing people try to dismantle it, and I'm sick of living it. I'm sick of living in a world where people are taught things about me that are not true to make me feel less about myself. I'm tired of that. And these videos are an effort to counteract all of that ugliness, hatred, and evil, and counterbalance it with love. And I want to believe if you're watching, you're on that journey too, with me and with yourself. Please like and subscribe. So let's unpack internalized oppression a bit. As the messages from the world are blaring at us, many of us, maybe all of us, will find it difficult to navigate our self-worth, our self-love, and our confidence. Let's imagine, for example, you're an immigrant who is here in the country, whether you're documented or not. If you're an immigrant, and by the way, all of us are, except for Native Americans and black people who came from slaves. Everybody else came here for a reason or another. I digress. If you're an immigrant, an undocumented immigrant, you will be hearing things like rapists, drug dealers, criminals, savage criminals that should be shipped away to prisons in foreign countries. That has to impact you. You feel that. I feel that, and I'm not an immigrant, but I can imagine hearing that message over and over and over again, where people literally equate immigrant with crime, even though most crimes are committed by Americans. And people that come here from other countries are trying to make a better life. They don't want to be involved in the law. People get involved in the law for all kinds of reasons, but for the most part, if you cross the ocean or you walk your way from South America, you've come here to get stuff done and make a life better for yourself, your family, and everyone around you. So I'm getting off track here, but the point I'm making is that hearing this constant bombardment of crime and rapists and drug dealers and gangs, as if that everyone that came from somewhere else belongs to a gang, has an impact. And some of our young people that are growing up hearing that might internalize that hatred and that name calling, that condescension, and they may grow up feeling less than who they really are because of what they heard during their childhood. And let's be real, we're talking about immigrants of color. We're not talking about Ukrainians. We're not talking about Russians. We're not talking about French and British immigrants. We're talking about South Americans, black people, people that look like me. It's hard to be here in this world and hear these things and not be affected. It is impossible for anyone to be unaffected by what's happening in the world today. Impossible. And it would be easy to assume that people that are impacted by world events are marginalized groups. But I believe that every single person on the planet is impacted by what's happening today. We're hearing things that are really cruel and hurtful and evil. If you're a human being and you have feelings, you have access to your empathy. I realize some people don't, but most of us do have access to our empathy, our sympathy, and our feelings. We are going to be impacted by the things we're seeing happen to each other, people we know, to we love, maybe even to us. We create the world we live in. Our lives unfold according to what's happening in our minds. What we see, taste, touch, feel, smell. We perceive the world through our minds. So it's safe to say that most of our lives are happening within our minds. It's important to be aware of this because our minds can be our liberator and our oppressor. Next up is episode 5, part 2, where we get into how internalized oppression shows up and maybe unconsciously running your life. Once posted, it'll be here, and the full list is there. Check them out. Also, check out in the description for a full list of episodes in this season. Remember, one planet, one tribe, one world, one love. I want to live in that world, don't you? This is Roar Season 2. I'll see you there.